And now, enjoy a life rich with results on The Rich Life with Anita Rich.
Oh, good morning, everyone. I'm Anita Rich, and I'm your host of The Rich Life. I have a very, very exciting day. At least it's very exciting for me and very different from what I usually do. So, first and foremost, before we get on to it, just want you to know that we're coming to you live from Sunset Gower Studios, UBN Radio. And if you've already found us, then you know you're on channel 1 of The Rich Life. Really delighted to be here with you this morning. Yesterday, well, it's 12 noon. I guess it's not morning anymore. Yesterday, I went with a very, very dear friend of mine who doesn't live in LA but comes to visit her amazing family. And we went to Agape. And Agape is a Greek word for love. And Reverend Michael Beckwith is the one who leads the services. He was the gentleman in The Secret. A lot of people know about him. Anyways, he so inspired me and so woke me up to, hey, Anita, don't just get on this show every week and talk. Everybody just talks. Give them some substance. But for other reasons for you to hang out, let me tell you who I'm having on the show today. You won't even believe how lucky I got. Her name is Laura Nickerson, and Laura she's a wife and a mother, and she's really, really well known for her take no prisoners attitude. And if you thought I was sassy, you ain't seen nothing yet. She's a well-known host, and she covered elections and events, and she hosts the weekly show called The Buzz. I'm actually looking at notes because this woman has a resume. For CTV, she hosts and produces a television and radio show, Broad Topics, and she anchors the weekly news for dancechanneltv.com. She reports the traffic for Clear Channel Radio, including KFI and KTLK, and she graces live events with her unique style. She has a fabulous voice, and her voice has been used in numerous commercials, voiceovers such as McDonald's and Toba video games, audiobooks, and tapes used by the American Foundation for the Blind. Woman has a heart and a soul and is simply amazing. Of all of the things she's done, trying to get 2 kids to nap at the same time has been her most difficult. So Laura Nickerson will be on, and I just talk funny, Nickerson. Amazing. She's amazing. So she will be on after I have a few things to say to you. So what did Reverend Michael Beckwith have to say yesterday? Well, he said, revolve, evolve, and resolve. Sounds like a lot of words, but he broke it down, and I'm only going to share about 4 or 5 minutes of a 45-minute amazing, amazing message that he gave us yesterday. And he said, the time has come. The time has come to share, shine, radiate, dance, and love. And I think the sharing is the reason that a lot of us come here and come to you and do exactly what I'm doing right now. There's something in us that we want to share. And our world is really held together by agreements and conversations. And what did he mean by that? Well, what I heard him say is that it's okay for you to feel that you can change the world. Why? Because you can break your agreement to mediocrity. A lot of us feel that there's only so much we can have in life. And that's the agreement we've made. But all it takes is a conversation to say, no, I am not going to be mediocre. Think about that. It sounds profound, right? Well, you need to break your agreement so you can live richly. Become liberated from blame and shame. We have so many people say, well, I was raised, with blame and shame. There's nothing I can do about it. Yeah, you can. It's called choice. It's time to have a prophetic conversation versus a pathetic one. We have a lot of pathetic conversations like, oh, if only I was taller and thinner and cuter and smarter and richer. Those are pathetic conversations. You know why? Because we all have all that we need right now. We all have it. Don't buy into littleness. Express your dreams in all that you do. If you're going to make an omelet, make that the best omelet you've ever made. If you're going to make the bed, give it some love. Dance around the corners. Have fun with it. I think we're forgetting to do that. Every day, have a commitment of how you can be on the path. Because if you don't take the first step, you can't be on the path. And the first step is acceptance. Look at your life. Where are you? What would you do if this was the last day that you had? What would you do? What would you say? What would you say if this was your last day? Well, Make an agreement about infinite possibility. Because, the only one getting in our way is us. Become more, never less than your true self. The phone is ringing. You know who's calling? There is a call from your future. It's not from society. It's not from your job. It's not from your friends or your relatives. There's a call from the future. And guess who is being asked to fulfill it? No one's doing it to you. We're not victims. We just need to take a time and just to take a moment and just to be willing. There's nothing wrong with you, You can be successful and healthy. It's always been with you, and it's still there. It's never been taken away. Time has eroded our dreams. Look at kids. Look at little kids. Do you ever see little kids who think that they can fly? And they can do just about anything they set their mind to? Who has taken our dreams away? Only the people who we've allowed to. So that is why I'm so excited also to have Laura here with me today, because she loves the issues of life and beauty and taking it back to simplicity. Once I broke my agreement with mediocrity, I was open to the potential of any situation because you can see past any pathetic appearance. I had a bank account with no money in it, seriously. 20 years ago, no money, and I had 3 children who I agreed to bring into the world and raise. I chose, and I had to overcome my way of thinking. Oh my goodness, only to me does this happen. Other women don't have it this way. Blah, blah, blah. I had to open my mind and accept that I am great. I'm magnificent, and my success was just waiting to happen through me. Having my needs and the needs of my children met, that was my path. There was nothing extraordinary about that. Having my needs met was my path. It wasn't somebody luckier that had it. It was really there for me. So I was allowed to be successful and great because I could be all that I was meant to be. And you know what? No one will ever be like you. No one. There's only one you. So revolve, evolve, and resolve. The earth revolves around the sun. And you know what time equals? We talk so much about time management. You know why we can't manage it? Because time truly, truly equals distance and experience. You ever think of a problem that you had where you thought at the moment your life was over? Well, why is it that now that it's past and you've got distance between it and you survived the experience, it doesn't feel devastating anymore? Why is that? Well, you know why? Because as we evolve, our problems resolve, and problems only exist in time. So think about that for a moment. To find a resolution, we have to not come from ego. We absolutely have to stop coming from ego and willpower. It's simply fear and compulsive behavior that drives us. So as I open up to my call of the future, hello, 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 I hear you ringing, I resolve to have habits in my mind and soul to open to deliver my gifts of excellence. Thank you, Michael Beckwith, for sharing my profound message that I have just shared with you all. These are not my words. They all come from him, but this is how it related to me. So I thank you, and I welcome you to be everything you want to be and everything you already are. And so, after a very quick break, I am going to welcome Laura Nickerson. Stay tuned. Hi, we're back. We're back. Oh my goodness. And now you are in for a treat. I threatened you, and if you hung around, yay. So ladies and gentlemen, I give you Laura.
Hi, thank you for bringing in all those children to scream at my entrance. It's nice.
I figured children is what you're so familiar with. But
A little too sometimes, yes.
So you know what, Laura, we were just talking at the break that a lot of people know, and if you don't know, then they should know now, that I know nothing about radio. It's not my background. It's not where I come from. But I do know about heart and soul, and I do know about empowering women, and I do know what it feels like to fall down and be a single mom. and not have two nickels to rub together and have the world tell you a lot of things, and to just be defiant and say, no, I don't have to be that woman. I don't have to go on welfare. I don't have to cry in my pillow after the first 2 months because it gets boring. And you were
wet.
And wet, yes. Oh,
Yeah.
my God. And you were the first person who's ever had me on a radio show years ago.
Yeah.
And then you had a second radio show. What was it? It was women of different ages.
I did. I had you on as a real estate. We were I have a show called Broad Topics. I have a couple of shows, and I'll tell you about all those because you just can't stop me from talking about
Oh,
them.
that's right. I don't want to.
But I had you on as to talk about real estate, and you gave some great advice, and I kept kicking myself as to why I didn't hire you when I was looking to buy a house in that very area. I won't make that mistake again. And then I had you on again because my show does a lot of forums on women. And what I wanted to do was feature a forum discussion of women of different ages, all talking about the same subjects. So I had you on, and I had a couple other women on there, all
We
representing
did sex, drugs, and rock and roll at some point, no? Or was
Before
that-
or after
was
the
it?
show?
Oh, okay. Oh, you caught me again.
But it was great. You know, we had a great conversation, and you were lovely. So when I heard
thank
you had
you.
your show, I was thinking, this is great. And I listened in, and then when you asked me to come on, I thought, well, of course I'm going to say yes.
So tell us everything else you do because you know you and don't be shy about your resume because I know it goes on 4 pages.
Well, I'll try not to list it. Well, here's my bullet point graph. No. Actually, what I do is I'm a host and a writer and a producer, and I had a radio show called Broad Topics, which we started in 2008. Wow. I know, in the aughts.
Yeah.
It was an aught show, which started out as sort of a women's show like The View on the radio, and then it ended up morphing really into a women's issues show. And I ended up going solo with it about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. And that just gave me a chance to feature more women and more
Nice.
conversations like when you came on. We were asked to do a television version of the show for a station in Santa Monica. So we did that for 2 seasons. Our last season is still being posted and updated. And then what happened was I was asked to start hosting things for the city of Calabasas.
Wow.
Which is where you live, right?
Yeah.
And where you work. And I'm not just saying this because they're my
I live in the
bosses.
Hollywood Hills, but my children live in Calabasas.
Oh, they do? Oh, okay. I always thought you lived out there. I was like, we should have carpooled. Man.
I can drive all the way there. You know, I'm pretty flexible.
It's pretty, yeah, so we hear.
Talking about my yoga days.
I know that. Well, sure. Yeah. So anyway, no, I work for the city of Calabasas, and I started off hosting their elections last year and doing some special event coverage. And then we created a show called The Buzz. And this runs on their local television station and on their homepage of their website, which is cityofcalabasas.com, and on YouTube, of course, because that's where everything goes.
Of course.
And it's a local activities and news show. And what
Wow.
we started off featuring mostly family-oriented activities because there's a big parent community out there. I mean, that's where, as we know, that's where all TV stars go to spawn. And so they go out there, and there's a lot of wonderful activities out there that people don't know about. So
That's right.
that's my job. I go out to all these events. I go feature all these incredible things. I talk a lot with the city council and the people that work there, and I cannot tell you how much in love with them I am.
I was at the pumpkin patch. Were you there?
I was there. Well, this year I wasn't
Thanksgiving?
there.
That's why I didn't see you.
Last year I was there. That was my first job for them. Was actually covering as my audition. I covered their pumpkin festival, which is like, if you don't go to that with your kids, if you have little kids, you're nuts. I'm sorry, because it's humongous. It's super cheap, and your kids can actually go on all the rides for free, which most other places, you know, you have to mortgage your home to,
Pretty much.
to
Let me
put them in a bounce house.
Let me share with you what I did at the pumpkin patch, which was fabulous because I really liked supporting what was going on. Is I prepaid for 75 pumpkins.
Oh,
They put it separately, and then I sent a coupon to my clients. And I said, here's the deal. You get to bring your kids for free. I'll be at the patch from this time to this time. I'll autograph your pumpkin, like they really wanted that, right?
Sure.
And
I'd get one.
You know, and then you can come and get one. It's kind of like my giving back for all of the referrals and everything else. And I get to give you a pumpkin, and I didn't have to go to 75 houses and hand deliver them. They came there. Their kids benefited. It was a 100% total win-win.
I have to tell you, I'm really bummed I didn't go this year.
But I'll buy you one next year, I
Will you?
promise.
I'll do it next year.
Yeah.
I actually want Amy Haber, who's one of the people who works with the community services department, actually got upset that I didn't come this year, and I heard that she was like almost teary. They didn't tell her until last minute. I actually have a couple of other things I do, and one of them took me out of the country for those 2.5 weeks. So
Okay, we forgive you.
Yeah, forgive me. It was my
How old are
anniversary.
your
too.
kids?
They are 5 and 7.
5 and 7.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would be hard to get them both already at the same time. So we do applaud you. So tell us a little bit about that motherhood business. Are you done? Did I interrupt you? Because I'm very good at that.
Oh no.
Did you finish the resume of what else you do?
Sure. Yeah, I'm good. I do that stuff. I do the buzz, and I do a bunch of other things, and I host a lot and Broad Topics and BroadTopicsTV.com.
BroadTopicsTV.com. Don't forget, she really is amazing. Okay, so let's talk about, part of the reason I did this show was because of my first marriage not working out. It's not a reason to do a show, but basically because people feel like it's done, it's over, it's finished. I was 45 years old when I met my current husband, and he literally helped me raise 3 young children, 8, 18, and 12. Somewhere in that vicinity. Never had any kids, so that was a good thing. And we have been, it's going to be, I don't mind admitting, it's going to be 20 years this year that we've been together.
Wow.
Love of my life, my best friend, really amazing. And he really picked me up from kind of like from the side of the road, so to speak. And it just, with his love and support and saying, hey, go do whatever you need to do, I was able to rebuild myself. And what does that mean? There was nothing to rebuild because it was already there. It was just I allowed myself to say, hey, I've done it once. I can do it again. It's okay. Things didn't work out. It's okay. And I just feel that I meet so many people in real estate. I meet a lot of single women who'll look at me and not know anything about my past. And they'll say, well, you don't know what it's like. You drive like a nice car and you do this and you do that and you only work 75 hours a week. And
you pull out a cigarette and you go, look, lady, I've been there.
Yeah, been there, done that. And then, they really feel like, oh, you don't know what it's like. But I do. And the rich life really has nothing to do with the make of my car or any of that stuff or the model of the car. But it really does have to do with what I believe. And, I think it's the main thing. It's surrounding yourself with positive people, which is why I listen to your show, which is why I'm so impressed with you.
Thanks.
Because you have that. So how do you keep that flowing?
Ooh, I'm a little ADD. I think that's the key for a lot of caffeine and being a little ADD. No, I am a doer. I am a doer by nature. So I get up in the morning, and if I don't end the day without the possibility of the phone ringing with something new, then I have not done my proper day.
I love it.
And Broad Topics, I think for me, it inspired me. It became its own entity beyond me in a lot of ways. And then it kind of became me in a lot of ways. Because what it forced me to do, or how it came around to it, was that I started looking at women. And this is no offense to men. Men are great. I love men. I'm married to a man. I got 2 boys. I love men. But when you focus on like the female energy and trying to work collectively to make a life situation for women and men that works for everybody, you start to kind of tap into this thinking that's bigger than you.
It is.
And you start to look at all these, every time I go to a movie and I see women who haven't had a ton of work done, and I think, oh God, you're gorgeous. You're so gorgeous. I saw Osage, what's it called?
Osage County.
August Osage County, and I looked at the women in that film and I went, oh my God, they're so beautiful because they have wrinkles and they look like regular people. And I just love them. Okay, the movie is totally depressing, but I still loved the women. So I think the flow for me right now is to try to look beyond my personal needs and look a little bit more globally. That sounds so pretentious, but globally to the sisterhood.
But you know what?
That inspires me.
You're right. It does sound pretentious, and I've been told no.
Thanks.
But you know what? But I know it's not. Because I've been told. I was at somebody's house yesterday, who I had met years ago, and I remember I was showing him commercial property, and he said to my then partner, he said, "She sounds pretty knowledgeable, but I mean, is she for real?" She's like, la, la, and I said to her, tell him that I sell the asparagus to my children at dinner, because I'll go like, oh my God, this asparagus is amazing. And then the girls start whispering. I have 3 daughters. They're like, Mom's selling the asparagus. It's a passion that you have. Because I honestly can tell you it's a passion that I have. When I get all excited about something, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I don't want to convince you of everything. I just wish that years ago, people shared the same way. I, for some reason, I went to school in Canada for the most part in Montreal. But I went through school with kids who were always like, I'd say, how do you feel about this? I'm a very private person. And I still have people around me like, what are your thoughts? I'm a very private person. And I think in order to be accountable for something, you have to declare it. And anyone that's ever done anything really good or big or serious would say, I'm going to do this. And if I don't do it, who cares? But I'm going to do it. It's about declaring it and speaking it and being accountable to it. So I think that you sharing, that you want a global sisterhood, it's right on, sister.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Word up. What? No, I do, though. And it's so funny. I actually made a little resolution this year because it's hard. Facebook is hard to look on Facebook and not think everybody else is better than you and to not feel competitive and to not feel like you should be doing something else. I actually unfriended somebody because she was just a way better version of myself. She was like younger and prettier and all that stuff. And I was like, I can't. And she was like, oh, I booked this. And oh gosh, another callback. And I was like, I can't. I can't. I love you, but
Gotta
I can't.
go. Love you.
I can't. I can't feel like crap about myself every time I look at your page, lady. Okay.
That's too funny, really.
But then what I did this year was I said to myself, what if, totally new concept, what if every time somebody, especially women, but men too, somebody did something that I am jealous of, what if instead I just supported them and said, great. I saw this great women's show. It's called The Conversation. It's been picked up by Lifetime. And I saw it and I went, oh, you can bleep me. Bleep.
We don't bleep. You can say anything here.
All right. Well, I said words that I would not want my sons to hear later.
Okay, fine.
And I said, great. I've been doing Broad Topics for 5 years, and we've done the TV show, and they're getting all my people, and they have better funding and this and that. And then I thought to myself, wait a minute. What is so bad about having someone else doing what I'm doing? What if I just supported that? What if I was just looked aside of my own jealousies and just said, good for you. How can I help you?
What if
How
they're
can I
laying
help
the
you?
path for you?
What if they're laying the path?
So you don't have to
Why can we
reinvent
only
the wheel?
have one women's show? Hello. We can have two. We have a whole, ESPN for men. Spike.
Oprah stepped in the background now, kind of on her own. So, hello.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's no one, I don't think. I mean, Ellen's great and whatever, but I don't think there's anybody out there. So, really, it's interesting because I totally forgot that you have, the actor background, which I'm very familiar with because my husband was a personal manager for 35 years.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he started out as an agent of William Morris and then he was a manager. And he loves women. He supports women. He's amazing with women. And what I used to love to listen to him say after somebody would go on audition, they'd always like, call, get the feedback, And he's like, they've cast it. I'll get you all the feedback you want, but they've cast it. So you know where your energy is going? Next.
Yeah.
And so my mother, who wasn't really, she really wasn't up on, I don't even know what to call it, but, on how to raise children. But there was one fabulous thing my mother gave me. And I mean this, I was an only child till I was 16. And the fabulous gift that my mother gave me was she always said, don't ever be jealous of someone, because that energy will rob you of your energy to do anything for yourself. And if you're jealous of them, basically, what have you done? She goes, it's like they say, keep your friends close and keep your enemies closer. Find out what they're doing. Is it physically possible for you to do that? Would you not sell your soul to get where they got to? Because, it's easier to pretend that that's why they got there. They sold their soul.
Well, I'm sure that's probably the reason.
And that's why you defriend them, because it's like, I'm not ready to sell my soul. No, but I'm all kidding aside. She just taught me. She said, find out what they've done.
Yeah.
Is it because you're, maybe you need to lose 20 pounds? Or is it because, whatever it is there another class you need to take? Is there another seminar you need to take? Find out what it is. And then I learned later on that let them pave the path. I don't need to reinvent the wheel. But I totally hear what you're saying, and that's what we do as women. But you know what? We are global thinkers. Mm-hmm. I think. I think that women, and like you, I love men. If I go to a party, I want to talk to the men because there's always some more stimulating, fun conversation, I find. It's not quite as gossipy and petty. So I love hanging out with the guys. But I can tell you that no man could do what a woman can. I'm sorry, they just can't.
Well, not in the amount of time. My husband and I have this argument all the time because he says, well, what if I do one thing at a time and I do it really well versus you do 20 things at one time and maybe not all of them as well? And what would happen if you thought like me? And I was like, well, we wouldn't get anything done. But it would be done well. I agree with you. That's why I think there's a yin and yang there. But I think, too, so much of what we talk about, because I've studied women's issues now heads and tails, talked to hundreds of women that are amazing, and studied all these things. And men and women were not really that different. Biologically, we're not that different. You know, we have an 8% difference in our brains. And the only thing that men are naturally much better at is picturing a cube in their mind and spinning it.
You're kidding.
Mm-mm. Oh, I had this great interview on season 2 with Lisa Wade, who's over at Occidental College, and she had done the science of the sexes. But we can, as women, if we put the time and energy into training our brains, we can spin the cube, as well as the man can. It's not like it's a trained thing that we can overcome. So it does speak a lot for environment. And I do think when we're talking about like you going to the party and wanting to talk with men because they're not as gossipy or whatever, but that's a trained behavior that we women have. We have been trained from birth to compete with each other. We've been trained with birth to talk badly about each other and to be jealous. We've been trained to compete. And so if we step back from that and really just turn around and look at each other and go, God, you are amazing. You are amazing. And you do this better than I do. And that's amazing. I think it's shocking. I think it would be shocking to us how things would change.
When are you going to friend your unfriended friend again?
Damn it! I know. I actually thought I know. All right, I'll unfriend. I know, but I should. And
that'll just be something for you. That'll be something for you to say. You know what? I went there, and now I unwent there. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's such a word, but I make them up as we go along. And but you're absolutely right. We are trained to compete. But the thing that bothers me, I think, is it's not always healthy competition. Mm-mm. Now, you have 2 sons. I raised 3 girls, and they're all in their 30s now. Oh no, one is 29. She's going to kill me when she hears this.
I think the 30-year-olds would be madder, but that's okay.
Yeah, no. And so it's. I taught them to be competitive, but I always used to say to them, and I say this on the show a lot, I said to them, you're very, very fortunate. They're attractive girls, all 3 of them. They've got great hair. This is so funny I'm saying that. But it's true, because if you have a feature that's not perfect, you've got great hair, you got something you can do with it.
Did you say this to them? Like, well, you're not so good on this pot, but your hair is great?
No, I only said it on the show that they have great hair, and I'm waiting for the call when I get home. But, they're amazingly fortunate that they have, their physical, it's like you go anywhere, you're pretty, you get through the door. But what is in between here that keeps you there? Yeah. And that has always been my philosophy, even as a single mom. You can't learn too much. You can't study too much. And just be the most interesting person you can be. And the more subjects that you have a little bit of information on, the more interesting you are. And you can't help enough. I'm very servant-oriented, and I realized that in my business. And it took me a while to realize the difference between wanting to help somebody and being a people pleaser. So I've given up people pleasing because that comes with my European mentality.
It's hard. It's hard to do.
Okay, talk to us about people pleasing.
Oh, well, I don't know. Are you comfortable? Can I get you something to drink?
Yes, thank
Some
you.
Water. I think that's a really, really hard habit to break is everybody okay? Is everybody all right? Okay, because I'm going to put your needs before my own. So, are you good? Okay, great. Now I can maybe talk about me just a little. It's really, really hard.
And my
to
second
do.
husband is so funny because he used to have an office out of the house, and people would come over, and I'd go, and if I happened to be home the few times, can I get you some coffee? Oh no, I'm fine. Would you like some water? No, I'm good. How about some juice? And then sometimes I said, I got some amazing cranberry juice. I mean, how amazing. It's in a bottle, right? Mm-hmm. And they go, oh, that would be great. And I said to my husband, see, they were really thirsty. They just felt they were putting you out. And he goes, no, they wanted you to shut up. They wanted just to get on with our appointment. And they knew you were going to ask them until they said yes to something. But anybody who's European knows you cannot go to a European's house and not take something.
I didn't know that.
Okay, you go to a European. It's not acceptable. So now you know. So what would you feel if, let's take 3 top things, because I know you're very passionate about women's issues.
Sure.
And parenting. 3 top things that come to the top of your mind.
About
anything, about parenting, about life, marriage, how to live a rich life, how to stay positive, any of that.
Oh my God, this is so much pressure.
Well, you know why? Because we didn't prepare it, and I love it that way.
Okay. First of all, oh God, I got to make a pot roast. I
love you. I love you.
All right, let me think. The top 3 things that come to my mind. I think, of course, it's going to be what I've been dealing with lately. Part of it is balance. That's a big one for me. Part of it is moving into the second half of my life where the things that were important to me in the first half of my life half. I'm not going to die soon, but I'm moving into a different phase than I was trying to be like the young hot gal in town and that whole thing. So there's that. There's sort of placing value on other things. That's 2. Are you writing this down? Because I won't remember.
I'm memorizing it.
Number 3 is the fact I can't remember crap.
Prevagen. I am not exaggerating.
What's that?
Prevagen, Prevagen. It used to only be found online. It is something that helps. It's the only vitamin or whatever it's called for the brain. It's not a multi-level marketing. It now can be found in CVS pharmacy. Look it up. Prevagen or IN, Prevagen, EN. And I took it for 30 days, and all of a sudden my husband goes, "What happened?" And I said, I found this crazy thing. He goes, "Do you just take anything?" And I said, "No," because I used to be very big into homeopathy. But I took it to my chiropractor who does a lot of body and brain balancing, and he said, "There's nothing in here that can hurt you." So anyway, so that's the third first.
Okay.
And then, talking about your first, which was?
Balance. I remember it. Ha.
See?
No Prevagen needed.
Do you take care of yourself? Does Laura come from on 1 to 5? Where does Laura fit?
I am slowly moving her up. Is 5 high? I need the rules to find, Anita.
Okay, so if 1 is the best.
Okay, then I'm like at a 2.5 right now. I'm working my way up towards 2. I ideally would like to be 1. So interesting. My parents said this to me. My parents are really smart people. And I didn't take it at the time the way I take it now. They said we had to sit down. Then my parents have been married for 43 years.
Nice.
And they met when they were teenager, really young in college. So they've grown up together, and they're a great story. But what they said to me was, at one point in their life, they had to sit down and say, where are my priorities? Number 1 has to be myself. Number 2 is my marriage, and number 3 is my kids. And I, as her kid, went like, oh my God, what? I'm supposed to be at least up in the 1s or 2s.
Right.
Now that I have kids, and I there's so many parents out there right now, the helicopters, you know who you are, hovering. They want their kids to be number 1, or they think the kids should be number 1. Don't do that. Mm-hmm. Don't do it. And they think their marriage, forget about it, 65, 70, it's down there somewhere. Don't do that. It's hard to do because we don't want to admit, people-pleasing women that we are, that we're being selfish. But we should be. Because in the end, nobody is happy unless I'm happy. Period.
And why is it that when you're on an airplane and they say, put the oxygen mask on you first?
Yes.
It's self-explanatory. How are you able to overflow and have for the marriage and for the kids if there isn't enough for you?
Yes.
I mean, your parents are brilliant people. I don't want to take it away from them.
Yeah.
But it's elementary, my dear Justin. I mean, think about that. And I know that, I think my dad died when he was very young, but I think my parents did that. Mm-hmm. I always thought my mother was tremendously selfish. And now I think, you know what? I'm an amazing human being because she didn't dote on me. And she allowed me, so if I fell down and if nothing was broken, she could get there, in a minute instead of 3 seconds.
Yeah.
For the buzz. I can't do it as well as you do that helicopter.
I practice. It's my people, the helicopter moms. That's my generation. We're so good at it.
The helicopter moms.
Oh, God, it's terrible.
I love that. Okay, well, thank you. See, this is how I learn.
Yeah.
This is how I learn. But, and that was the thing that, immediately. And if a kid falls down, it's like, Mama! And nobody else can comfort them.
Yeah.
Only mom. And it's like, what? Hello?
Yeah.
And so I come in, I go, excuse me, out of my way. I'm a grandmother. I've done this many times. I'm like, you don't know shit, lady. Like, you don't even know how to cross the street. And so, really, I'm very fortunate. I have a daughter who has a 3.5-year-old son who is literally the best kid I've ever seen. She's very strict. She works with children with autism, so she's very firm. Mm-hmm. And I got to tell you, what my daughter does, which this is out for all of your generation of moms, she is consistent.
It's so hard to do.
Consistent. And you know what? And this child is so comfortable in his skin because he knows. I can't do something Monday, Wednesday, and Friday because mom is in a good mood. And if Tuesday she happens to have a bad day, no, this is what I can do and this is what I can't do. And he's just very comfortable. And he'll come to me and he'll say, Grandma, how fast are you driving? And he's sitting in the back and I go, I'm going 30. I see a 4. He's 3.5. I see a 4, Grandma. Is there a 4 and 30? And I'm going, don't you have a toy to play with or
30,
a bar
34
to eat?
kids, 34.
Right? I mean, so hilarious. So definitely there's a lot to be said for parenting and for remembering. But, That's exactly it. It's the resolution that you made to have this kind of year. And you know what? If it's like I said earlier, what Dr. Michael Beckwith, Reverend Beckwith said yesterday, how are you going to get there if you don't have a plan? It doesn't have to be elaborate. Just have a real plan. Have it be real and have it be measurable. And I always say, have little milestones and find one or two people that you believe in to hold you accountable. It's really simple, Laura. It's all there. I mean, when I think of how did I raise 3 children, sometimes not very well. 3 children, single mom, zero money. 1994, earthquake hit, couldn't sell real estate for love or for pasta thrown against the wall. Spaghetti, what is it called? Spaghetti against the wall. That's one of my malaprops, right? And so I couldn't make a living. But you know what? It's the love that held us together. And I think the reason I'm here today is because I don't want to die with the music in me. And if I can get amazing talent like you to come out and to talk to people and to do the kind of shows that you do, I think we stand a chance. Yeah. So what can women and what should women united do? Like I say to them, like the top 3, and then I'll actually let you answer the question. See, I ask you a question and I jump in with an answer. The top 3 things for me are surround yourself with the kind of people that you can get support from. Because, show me your friends, I'll tell you who you are. Surround yourself with that. Make it okay to fail and make it okay to say, oh, you know what? I tried this. I screwed up. Do you have a better answer? I am shocked at how willing people are to help if you're willing to ask.
Yeah, you got to ask. That's hard to do because then we think we're showing a weakness by asking. And I do that too. I actually, that's the Facebook thing again. Sometimes I go on Facebook and I think, I want to ask for help because I need this or that. But I'm afraid to because then people will know I don't have this or that. And the image more important than the reality. And finally this year I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to ask for help. There's some things that I need help with right now, and I'm going to ask for it. And so far I haven't gotten any help, but I'm working on it.
Okay, I have to tell you something really, really important. When you worry about asking for help and thinking about the image, guess what? There are so many women, myself included, that would love to help, that would love to feel that something I could do would be of benefit to you.
Yeah.
So I would never look at it. And it's our perception of we say something and then this is how they're going to hear it. We don't know how they're going to hear it. We're making that up. We're totally making up that this is how they're going to hear it.
Yeah.
As opposed to just, I'm saying it. How they hear it, that's on them.
Yeah.
I can only clean up my side of the story and my side of the street. I'm coming from the heart. I'm going to ask for it because it really makes them feel important. And what a nice thing. Look at it and say, I'm going to ask someone for help. I'm giving them a gift. Yeah. I'm giving them the gift of being useful.
I'm thinking about that because there was a young woman that I worked with recently who asked me if I could help her out with her. She's a dancer, and that's part of my background was musical theater and that whole thing. Hold on, I'll sing for you. Wait a minute. Woo! Anyway, so she asked me if I would help her out. She's moving into town, and I thought, well, yeah. I mean, between my friends and I and people we know a lot of people. I'd be happy to because she's great. So I start passing her stuff around and asking for a couple favors, and then I think to myself, I never did that for myself. Wow. I would have had a really hard time 10 years ago asking the same thing for myself of these same people. And here I am going, hey, George, why don't you take a look at this? Will it help her? I don't know. But it feels great to do it. So I agree with you. And I'm really trying to get out of my own way and just live the life. That's part of that number 2 transition that we were talking about, which is getting a little bit in a more, how do I say it without sounding old, a more mature, less 30-ish place.
A more educated way of thinking.
Yeah, well, it's just you get through life and they say, they say to you, okay, this is your life, right? You go to school, you get the job, you get married, you have the kids, you do the you get the 2 cars and the house and right? Check, 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 check. You try to keep within, 20 pounds of your high school weight. Check.
Midlife crisis, depression, now, crap.
You just go like, what the fuck just happened to me?
Right.
Because then you go, well, now what do? I did all the things I was supposed to do. They were great. I have them. It's great. Or the things that I thought I would do by now that I didn't get to do because nobody let me. So now I'm having to rethink that and say, well, if not now, then when?
Absolutely.
And I get really frustrated in this environment we're in Los Angeles because, for women especially, I'm kind of over the hill. And I'm young. I'm not an old lady. But in my field as a host, they want a lot of 20-year-old bimbettes with great chest particles, and they really
fill that out.
They want that. They don't want the Tom Bergeron, which is honestly where I want to be. Is Tom Bergeron. I don't want to be what's her name on Dancing with the Stars, Brooke Burke. I want to be Tom Bergeron. But I have to look at that and say, okay, well, do I accept? It's too late for me. I'm over the hill. Or do I say, you know what, people, suck on this?
I just say, look at Betty White.
Yeah.
I just say, what, 92?
Is she? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not saying that is the ideal, but I'm just saying that do you think she really gives a rat's ass about what people think? She doesn't
You have
care.
to let go. You have to let go
Yes.
of people pleasing and
Yes.
thinking and asking for help and letting people tell you what you are or are not. People in LA are so happy to tell you who you are or what you're not.
Unsolicited advice.
They love to tell you. I mean, please, if you were in the business, you've heard your husband, I'm sure, a bazillion times talk about, well, they said she was to this, to that, to this. Whatever.
But going back to you asking, listen, you have to know that in my world of real estate, that's what I'm doing all the time.
Right.
And I have a lot of people who come to me, and because I'm also a mentor and I'm a trainer, and they'll come to me and they'll go, okay, listen, I'll do whatever you need me to do. I'll go talk to a bunch of strangers. Do not ask me to go to my sphere of influence. And I go, you really shouldn't be in this business. If you think I like to ask, I'm European. Okay, we don't like to ask. I mean, we're more macho than the Latin men that you find, in LA. We're crazy, and especially Hungarians. We're insane. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's just a matter of if I was going to say to you, you know what, Laura, I really respect who you are, and I'm willing to bet that the people you hang out with are like-minded, and it's the like-minded people that I'd like to pour myself into with my energy and give them my excellence and my expertise of 31 years in the business, blah, blah, blah. And look how long I've known you. I've never sent you a note to say, Laura, who do you know who's looking to buy or sell? See,
That's
so
true.
even I fall back on not asking. But
Right.
don't be surprised to find something in your email tomorrow.
You know what? Honestly, though, if somebody were
Think
asking me,
about
I
it.
would send them to you.
But it's not your job to remember me. It's my job to remind you that I exist. It's my job to, thank you.
Quotable moment. Somebody
Right?
write that down.
It's not your
Love that.
job. It's not their job to remember you. Top of the mind awareness in somebody else's mind is the person's job who wants to be remembered.
This is like a therapy session. I'm enjoying this very much.
Well, we've got 2.5 minutes left. Can you believe it?
What? Are you serious?
This is how an hour goes. It comes and goes. I know.
We've been talking for an hour?
I know.
Man,
Well,
we
we
can
have-
talk.
Well, I can talk, but you're good. You at least make sense. That was the only other thing that Dr. Michael Beckwith, I call him all kinds of different names, but that's what he was saying. He goes, so many people just talk. They're saying nothing. By the way, you guys, I need you to like me on Facebook. Would you like me on Facebook, Laura? Would you tell your friends to like me on Facebook?
I will absolutely do that.
It's the Rich Life Radio Show. Like us on Facebook. Ask us any questions. Look at the kind of people I know. Can you see the kind of people I know? Can you tell them where they should write to you or ask you or find you?
Absolutely. You can always visit my website, broadtopicstv.com or broadtopicsradio.com. You can visit us on Facebook at Broad Topics. You can follow us at Twitter on Broad Topics. You can follow me on Twitter at Knickerburger. You can follow me on Facebook. You can Google Laura Nickerson. You're going to find anything. But if you want to see the buzz and you want to know what to do with your family this weekend, especially
love that.
something that's low cost or free and local if you're in the Valley, go to thecityofcalabasas.com. I will be right there on the front page.
I want you to talk to them and see if they want to do anything like that in Studio City. They have the Studio City patch, but I would be willing to help out to do something like the Buzz in Studio City.
I love it. I'm working on a project where we would have a buzz for every different area of Los Angeles.
Studio City, can I raise my hand?
Yeah, give them a call, because that's the thing, is that most people, they just don't want to go that far. There's a lot of great websites out there that give activities for families.
Pasadena is a lot of that I see.
Pasadena, Culver City, but
Yeah.
you're not going to drive from Pasadena. If you live in Pasadena, you're not going to Culver City. Let's be honest. You're going to go within about 5 miles, preferably not on the freeway.
Yeah.
Preferably something free or cheap.
Yeah.
That's when you got to come to me. I'll tell you what to do, my friends.
Oh my God, that's fabulous. Okay, well, I'm going to make sure that I have you prominently displayed on my page.
Thanks.
So, just as to finish, some words to the wise, what would you say?
Okay, have balance. It's not my job to make you remember me. And if you can't remember me, or I can't remember me, take Provi. What is that called?
Prevagen, the one that you can't remember. Well, Laura, thank you. From the bottom of my heart, I loved having you. Thank you.
Oh, you brought the adults in this time to clap for me. Thanks.
I know. The kids are right behind them. They're pushing Mommy.
Oh, thanks, kids.
Thank you so much for listening in. I really, really hope you enjoyed today. Please like us on Facebook. Please remember to ask us all of your questions. And coming to you from UBN Radio, this is Anita Rich. Love you, mean it. Bye.